Yes, it's the 67 Hail Hail guys back on this sun-kissed Saturday evening to talk about Celtic. Life was good up until Celtic kicked off tonight. Then you were kind of reminded of the struggles of this first team. But, John, we got some goals in the second half. James Forrest, Ryan Christie, Mohamed El Yunusi. We're through to the next round of the Scottish Cup. Discuss.
Yeah, I've been hyped up about Celtic all week, obviously, with all the Eddie Howe speculation. And then the first half, by the time we got to half-time, was just as frustrated as I have been the whole time. We obviously dominated the half and basically had so many chances. The Leigh Griffiths one was an absolute sitter. We should have been well ahead at half-time. Made pretty hard work of it. Falkirk tire, as they would do. They've hardly played any football in 2021. We knew that was going to happen, and eventually we managed to get our goals. So overall, happy to be in the next round. Happy there was no banana skin moment. And happy with, a couple of performances overall. So, yeah, there's a lot to chat about, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it was never really in doubt tonight, was it? As
No.
much as it was goalless up until, probably 55, 60 minutes. Falkirk, if you actually look at it, created nothing in the entire match. It was never in doubt, and if there's one thing that's probably gone under the radar a little bit in John Kennedy's tenure so far as Celtic interim manager, the defence has probably improved. I think we've only conceded one goal, that daft one against Rangers. I know we weren't up against much tonight, and I know it was a Falkirk team that had rested a lot of players because they've got big games coming up in the league, but I felt we were secure at all stages of the game tonight. The big frustration for me, especially in the first half, was just how wasteful we were once again, whether that be long distance shots when there's a better pass on, whether it just be complete sitters like the one you mentioned, that Leigh Griffiths chance. Brilliant work from, I think it was Forrest and Turnbull. The way to pass was perfect and a terrible miss, and it's been symptomatic of our season, misses like that. But thankfully today, we got that goal through James Forrest. It wasn't a pretty goal, it was deflected into the corner, but we got it. If we hadn't have got that one, it gets nervy and it goes on, but we got there in the end. But just frustrating how we seem to kind of keep missing opportunities.
Yeah, but the positive for me, I think, was James Forrest himself. You can, all caveats aside about the quality of the opposition, I thought James Forrest looked very sharp from the off tonight. I thought he was by far our best player. It was him who made the breakthrough, which was probably to be expected. There's obvious frustrations in the team still, but if we get players like Forrest fit and firing for this Scottish Cup run, then I wouldn't count this out. I thought he looked sharp all night. John Kennedy spoke earlier in the week about how he's kind of been coming off the bench and he's not been wanting to start him, but basically said that he was good to go and was waiting for his moment to bring him into the team. I would expect James Forrest to be named in the starting 11 for every single match between now and the end of the season. I think he probably wants that to try and make a run for the Euros. He'll be really motivated to make Steve Clarke's squad, so why not utilise that? That was the main positive for me tonight, was James Forrest's return.
He brings us a different dynamic that no other player does. He's willing to stretch the game, and you saw that in the first few minutes. He made a run where he kind of cut across a defender and ran in and stretched the defence, and that was James Forrest all over. He wasn't his best tonight, but there was certain positives there. Other players, two other ones I want to pick out, and then I'll kind of leave the rest of the team for you. David Turnbull, I feel like we talk about him, after every match, but with good reason. That guy's weight of pass and the care he takes with through balls. There was one right at the end of the game for Albion Ajeti, and it looked a simple pass, but the weight on the ball was perfect for him. He didn't have to break his stride. I just thought he had another great game, and it goes without saying, but he's going to be a key player in the next years to come at Celtic Park. Stephen Welsh as well. I just thought Stephen Welsh was really solid tonight. Again, the caveat is he wasn't up against much, and he should be able to contain Falkirk pretty easily. But I'm impressed every time I watch him. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't look rash. He's quite a calm player. Good turn of pace as well. Good in the air. He seems to have quite a well-rounded game, and I've got high hopes for seeing him under new management as well, to see if he can really be turned into a Celtic player that can go and play at Champions League level.
Yeah, the David Turnbull thing's so interesting in the context of everything we're talking about Eddie Howe. If you're thinking about a player who could probably be our next £20 million player, he's the obvious one, aside from Edouard and Ayer, but they're faced down to their contract situation at the moment more than anything, rather than their talent. I think David Turnbull's going to go to the top, and I think a manager, I know it's not done yet, I know we need to get over the line, but a manager like Eddie Howe, I think, can make David Turnbull a fantastic player, and I think with perhaps a little bit of set-piece cleverness, utilising David Turnbull's skill at set-pieces and with dead balls could be a real thing for Celtic moving forward. I'm excited to see that. I agree about Welsh. A lot of people talking about El Unici tonight. I know, obviously, he didn't play the whole game or anything, but came on, got his goal, and people are wondering whether El Unici has a future. I know people have been frustrated by his injury record and perhaps that he doesn't quite do it consistently enough. But I've been asking the question on Twitter tonight whether, if we're paying like £5 million or £6 million for El Unici, whether we should sign him next season. I asked that about 10 minutes ago. There's been about 630 votes. 85% say they would sign El Unici for £5 or £6 million. So there's a strength of feeling, I feel like, out there that Celtic supporters want El Unici to stay if the deal is right. And I would agree with that. I think he would have a future, especially under a manager like Eddie Howe. What's your take on the latest El Unici stuff?
It's probably a bit of recency bias in those poll results, isn't there? The fact that he's just scored tonight and he scored in the derby. I like El Unici. I do think he adds a lot, and he just screams out to me as one of probably many players, but him particularly, who would benefit under a proper manager who will develop him. I just look at El Unici and I think you under Brendan Rodgers would have been an absolute dream. And you've already mentioned a certain Englishman's name, but if we are going to get a Rodgers-like appointment in the coming days and weeks, I think El Unici could benefit massively from that. We're going to come on and talk about that certain Englishman, but I think that's one of the advantages of getting him in now, is that El Unici gets to see what he's like, he gets to see what El Unici's like, and you give yourself an opportunity to possibly do a deal in the summer. I like El Unici. I'm not quite as positive and as blown over as some people are. I think he has flattered to deceive a lot. There's a lot of big games that he kind of fails to turn up in, and he goes off after 60 minutes and you're kind of left thinking, would expect a bit more there. So I think there's a lot more to come. He goes through real rich veins of form where he'll score 5 goals in 6 matches, and then he'll go a dozen matches and maybe only score a couple of goals. So to be a success at Celtic, he would need to hit the Scott Sinclair kind of numbers for me. Not Sinclair in his first season, because that was a one-off, but Sinclair, the 15 to 20, the James Forrest numbers. Maybe El Unici, I don't know how many goals he's got this season, maybe he's in that kind of ballpark, but I kind of feel he's probably a wee bit short. I'd certainly like to see a bit more consistency from him, but I'm not against bringing in a player who knows the club. I just want to talk about Leigh Griffiths as well, because we got a question in there. Thoughts on Griff? Is he done for us and on the way out with all the gossip that surrounds him, or can we get him back on track and be our number one striker again? Bit of a frustrating night for Leigh Griffiths. I think he was trying, but he is way off it. And I'm not just talking in terms of fitness, in terms of match sharpness, he looks way off it. Maybe that's understandable. Maybe that's just obvious given how little he's played. I am on the side of thinking that it's probably best to get him out and get a younger version, someone like Kevin Nisbet possibly in the summer.
Yeah. I mean, you know me, Hamish. You've known me for a long time. You've probably, you've known me for longer than anyone on this YouTube channel because you've been watching what we say. You know that I'm a massive fan of Leigh Griffiths, and I've defended him on many occasions over the years. I think he's been underrated at times at Celtic, but I just feel like the Leigh Griffiths Celtic thing is probably coming to a natural conclusion this summer. I think if he has the opportunity to move to another decent-sized Scottish club or an English lower league side, I think that would be a fantastic move for him. I think he's got something left in his career. I just don't know whether he's got it left at Celtic, and I think Celtic need to probably be looking on to move on from Leigh Griffiths, especially with his contract situation. It expires in just over 12 months. When you're thinking about who you would hand a new contract to, would you sign up Leigh Griffiths for another multi-year contract? Not a chance for me. And so then it becomes almost inevitable that he'll leave at some point this summer. And I think that's the right thing. I think he's contributing massively to Celtic over the last decade. I think he's been a big part of our 9-in-a-row success, quadruple treble success, etc. He's had his problems, but yeah, I mean, it's not just tonight I'm basing this on. I just think it's coming to a natural conclusion.
Fond memories in general for Leigh Griffiths and what he's done for the club, and even this horrible season, the amount of big goals he seemed to come up with, but he's not been a reliable Celtic player now for probably 3 full seasons, and I just don't think he's the kind of guy who can stick around next season. I think Tom Rogic is the same. I just think those are two guys who were great for us a few years ago, but they have to move on this summer. We have to be ruthless this summer, and hopefully we've got a manager coming in who has that ruthless side. We will get onto that in a wee second. Just first of all, just for anyone watching this video, which is obviously everyone watching this video, Scottish Cup draw tomorrow, 2 p.m. Bit of an interesting draw because it's the 4th round and the quarterfinals in a winner, so you get to find out 2 potential opponents, or maybe even more depending how it goes. The 4th round will be played on the 17th of April with the quarterfinals a week later, so we've got a kind of back-to-back Scottish Cup thing going on there. And then obviously, given that at that stage we'll be at the end of April and not even played the semis yet, that obviously means that the semis and finals are going to be quite close together as well. So it's going to be a hectic end to the season. Any teams you want to draw tomorrow?
Just bring on Rangers, Hamish. Let's get about them. No, in all seriousness, it's an exciting little burst of Scottish Cup action. It's one of my favourite tournaments. I enjoy it every single year. I think Celtic have been specialists in it over the years, especially over the last half decade. And I think we can win it. I'm not predicting that we will win it, but obviously Celtic can win this thing. And we shouldn't be really fearing anyone at this point. If there is a new manager coming in, the players should be more motivated than ever to impress and show that they have a future at the club. So why not? If we get a new manager in and win some silverware, I know that's a big ask between now and May, but if we get all that in place, people are going to be buzzing for next season. Doesn't matter what has happened this season. What's done is done. It's all in the past. I still feel bad about certain aspects of the way the season's been handled by the club, but if we win the cup, get a good manager in place, then it's all go for the summer and all go for next season again, and that would be very exciting.
We're 4 wins away from winning the cup. There's no replays in the competition this season either, so it's 4 wins. You did kind of say right at the start, almost tongue-in-cheek, bring on the Rangers, but would we rather get Rangers while we could have them at Celtic Park in one of the next 2 rounds, or would you take them in the final at Hampden? We're not scared of Rangers, are we?
No, I'm honest, and honestly, no. I know we'll probably get abuse in the comments as we usually do, but I'm not scared of them in the slightest. I don't think it really matters when there's no fans on the ground where we play them. I think we've shown this season. I know we've not beaten them, but we showed at Ibrox we could compete against them. We showed that again at Celtic Park, and I would fancy them anywhere at this point. I think we're going to probably have to beat them to win the cup, so we might as well play them. I would play them anytime.
Right, 2:00 tomorrow, so just set your alarms or whenever for that. I'm assuming it will be on BBC or Premier Sports. You'll be able to find it somewhere. Right, shall we move on to a wee bit of Eddie Howe chat just to finish this video, because I feel like that's what the over 100 people that are watching this live all want to hear us chatting about. You're kind of more ear to the ground than me with regards to writing on the website 67 Hail Hail today. The latest, as far as I understand it, is that Eddie Howe is certainly the prime candidate to be the next Celtic manager. He's probably even further than that. He's almost expected to be the next Celtic manager. We're possibly looking at an appointment early next week. Tuesday has been mentioned. Anything else to report from today?
Right, so I know there's distrust from the Celtic support towards the mainstream media at large, but as someone who follows Celtic news religiously every day, you can tell when something is more reliable than not. And when every single outlet is almost reporting the same thing, you can take that there's some element of truth to it. So it doesn't matter if it comes from the Scottish Sun or the Daily Record or the BBC or Sky Sports, they're all saying it. The latest report is from the Scottish Sun, who say that he's agreed in principle to be the new manager and that it should be announced early next week. Stephen McGowan's reported something very similar in the Scottish Daily Mail. Chris McLaughlin at the BBC is reporting something quite similar to that too. So this isn't nonsense internet rumours or anything like that. The feeling is that Celtic want him and that he's more likely to take it than not. But I would stress, as I do with all these things, that it's not over until it's over. And although I've been getting very excited about Eddie Howe over the last 48 hours, just keep that in the back of your mind that he could still change his mind at the last moment. Someone else could come in for him. Gordon Strachan made very interesting comments on Premier Sports with regards to that tonight. So if Celtic really want him, they'll need to get it tied down over the next few days, I would suggest. So we're just going to need to, hold our water and kind of keep abreast of the situation. John Kennedy obviously giving nothing away on the radio. Celtic are going to give nothing away until it is confirmed. So it'll just be a case of waiting and seeing. But everyone is excited. Everyone's writing in the media with the assumption that he is going to be the manager right now. Celtic fans are certainly operating on that assumption at the moment as well. And you could tell by the coverage of the game tonight that the broadcast media is too. So it looks like it's going to happen. Again, Hamish, we've been talking about this for months, and Eddie Howe has always been in our top 3 candidates consistently throughout the whole time. We said back in January, me and you, that we wanted him in the door, and I think it would be a fantastic appointment for all sorts of reasons. And I'm very excited, and I think the club it would be something. Neil Lennon said on the radio today, it'd be something of a coup if Celtic could bring in Eddie Howe, and I agree with Neil Lennon.
Yeah, I think the main thing, or one of the things that we spoke about when Celtic were going through that horror run, September, October time, was the fact that the club no longer had the Premier League standards that we'd had when Brendan Rodgers was in charge. When he left the club, those standards left the club, and we just didn't have them under Neil Lennon for whatever reason this season. I think Eddie Howe would certainly bring those back. If he does come to the club, we don't know yet what the makeup of his backroom team would be. There's been reports that Strachan and Kennedy would be kept on. That's a conversation we can have further down the line. There's no point having that now. But I think Eddie Howe as a manager would certainly bring back the standards that we want to see. It's an appointment, it's a name that gives me those butterflies, and it takes me back to the summer of 2016 when all the Brendan Rodgers stuff was going about. It's that same feeling I've got that this could be a genuinely groundbreaking appointment for Celtic. So we hope it comes to fruition. It goes without saying we will be here with the news if it happens. We'll have interviews lined up, we'll have live reactions lined up, we'll have solo videos with just me lined up, we'll have everything going. Hopefully something happens in the next few days, as you say, John. I think keep an eye on the kind of late night reports coming out from the Scottish Sun and the Daily Mail in particular. They're probably the most trusted ones, the ones that are most likely to get the scoop on it being confirmed and to be announced, etc. But I think you're right, I don't think we'll hear anything from Celtic at all until it is confirmed.
I mean, and that's not an endorsement of those outlets. I know there's issues people have with the Scottish Sun and the Daily Mail for good reason. It's more about how accurate we feel that it is. And over the years, we've come to realise, as people who watch the media, that some of the reporters in these positions, in these prominent positions at these newspapers, get it right more often than not when they put their name to an exclusive like that. So it's not an endorsement of the newspapers themselves, but more of the reporting on Celtic in particular.
Just finally, one thing that's kind of been bugging me, I've not really seen it reported anywhere, probably because no one really knows, but do we think Eddie Howe would come in immediately and see out the rest of the season? Yeah,
you've read my mind, Hamish. That's the big unanswered question at the moment.
Yeah.
And essentially, we don't know. There's been no details of that at the moment. If I had to put money on it, and I had to, firmly say one way or the other, I would guess that he would come in at the end of the season.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't see a scenario where John Kennedy isn't the manager from now until the end of the season. And I don't think it really matters that much, to be honest. Eddie Howe, if he is coming in, will have already been doing his homework on Celtic for quite a while and will continue to do so. So I don't think it's too much of an issue. But I wouldn't prepare for an Eddie Howe announcement and then I'm in the dugout for our next match.
Right, well, we can only dream, but I think everyone would take the appointment of Eddie Howe, even if he is going to start next season. I think the vast majority of us are so transfixed by the figure. But as I say, we'll have far more in the channel. John, thanks very much for joining me. I know it's a busy Saturday night. I know you get up to all sorts on Saturday night, so I appreciate you coming on the channel. Same goes for everyone who's watching this, be it live or on demand. We do appreciate your support. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you've not done it yet. Remember, Scottish Cup draw is on Sunday at 2 p.m. Give that a go. We'll be back. I think we've got a day off tomorrow and Monday due to the bank holiday, but we'll be back from Tuesday onwards. Take care, everyone, and he'll